It's all wrapped up here, sir. Is there anything else? You know what to do. Clean slate protocol, sir? Screw it. It's Christmas. Yes. Yes. That failed. I am definitely going to be regretting doing that later, but hi everyone and welcome to the final TBR assemble of the year. Now, I cannot believe that we're at the end of the year and it's time to do my final set of rolls on this board. I'll probably actually keep this board, but I've got a little bit more planned for next year and a little upgrade to this. You could say that I'm sort of doing a Tony and just upgrading everything, but anyway, this is the last time I'm going to be doing this, so let's get into the roll. So today we're going to be using an Iron Man because I haven't used him yet and I wanted to show him off essentially, and then I've got an Iron Man, a Shuri and a Yelena because I just got them in the post as a sort of treat to myself and I wanted to show them off essentially. And so we're going to start where we were before and we're going to go for roll number 1, which is a 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is blue, and that is sci-fi. I'm gonna go over here, and that is Icarus, a book from the Priority TBR. My first roll was Icarus, which is to read a book from the Priority TBR, and I didn't really have any sci-fi books on my Priority TBR, but I did come up with something, and that is the second Murderbot book. I read the first one and absolutely loved it. This is following a sentient AI, essentially, who doesn't really want to be doing what it's doing and what it's designed to do. It just generally just wants to watch soap operas all day. I really love the first one. I very much related to the first one in a lot of ways, and I'm really excited to read this sequel. Roll number 2 is a 2, so 1, 2, that is Purple Fantasy. I'm gonna go this way and I'm thinking I'm gonna go for this one, and that is Clint, Let the Arrow Decide. Oh, that'll be fun later. Okay, so this is the most ridiculous angle I've ever filmed at here, but I've literally got you on a small tripod on the floor so you can see this full board, because I got the prompt of Clint, Let the Arrow Decide, and that means I need to obviously fire an arrow at this thing. And how this is going to work is I'm going to assign a book to all of the numbers on here. Whichever one I hit is the book I read. And essentially the books I'm assigning is 2. If I hit the 2, I have to read The Princess Bride. If I hit the 4, I will go for Queen of Air and Darkness. 6 will be Blood Marked. 8, I will go for The Amazing Maurice and His Educated Rodents by Terry Pratchett. And if I hit the 10, it is a free choice that I can go with whatever I want, because if I hit a bullseye, it's going to be a miracle. So with that, let's hit this and see what happens. And that was 6, which was Blood Marked. That's cool. I'm probably going to read all of these anyway, or at least put them on the TBR, but Blood Marked is the one that the arrow has decided for me. Good to know. Back to normal me. My next prompt was Clint, Let the Arrow Decide, and obviously as you saw from that last clip, it picked Legendborn for me, and what I really quite enjoy is the fact that this card actually kind of matches the cover. I find that really amusing. But anyway, Blood Marked is the sequel to Legendborn, which is a King Arthur retelling in a modern setting meets sort of Shadowhunters kind of thing. I really love the first one. I cannot wait to read the sequel. I would have read it in November, but I just ran out of time, so I'm going to be moving it over into December, and I'm so excited. And because it's nearly 550 pages, it's also counting for Tome Topple, which I think is happening in December if I remember rightly, so I'm well prepared there as well. Roll 3 is a 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fanfiction. Roll number 4 is a 1, so 1, that is Green Time Stone, which means we are looking at comics now. I'm gonna go into this way. We go here, and that is Peggy, an older comic. My next roll was fanfiction. I never know what I'm going to be reading for that. I just literally pick whatever I'm feeling at the time, so moving on. My next roll was Peggy, which is to read an older comic. So I'm going for Klaus by Grant Morrison. This is a reimagining of Santa, but based more on his Viking folklore. And from what I can tell, this is going to be very violent, and I'm here for that. especially considering I'm really excited to see the Christmas movie Violent Night, which is where Santa is essentially trying to save a family who are kidnapped or something, or threatened, something like this. Essentially there was a lot of explosions made out of baubles and things like this, and it just sounded like fun, so this sounds like a perfect sort of tie into that. I'm very excited to read this and just see what the hype is about, and there's no better time to read it than now, despite the fact that I'm a Grinch. But if I am going to read something Christmassy in Christmas season, it will end up being something along the lines of either by Tom Fletcher, Terry Pratchett, or it will involve a ton of like explosions and fight scenes and all the rest of it. Because of who I am as a person, it makes my Wednesday Addams heart sing. So that's why I'm going for it, and there's no better time to read it than now, and I cannot wait. Roll number 4 is a 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is comics again. I'm gonna go this side now, and I'm gonna go for this one because that's where my finger is. Natasha, a TBR jar pick. Ooh, I haven't had one of these in a while. Right. So this is my TBR jar. I'll just give it a bit of a stir around. I haven't touched this in a while. I'm going to go for this one, if I can pull it out. There we go. And that is Mask of Arabella by Anna Hawson. Okay then. My next prompt was a Natasha, which is a TBR jar pick, and it came out with the Mask of Arabella, and if I remember rightly, this one is where Arabella discovers that she has secret powers, which means that she can basically shoot flames from her fingertips, and she ends up being rescued by a magical organisation of masked heroes and things like this, and there's something about the Island of the Dead, all of that good stuff. So this one's been on my TBR for a couple of years now, and it just sounds like really fun and right up my superhero loving alley, so very excited. It's also going to be a quick read, and seeing as it's a very busy season this month, hopefully I'll be able to get through that quite quickly. And then the final roll for the year is a 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I just did that around the wrong way, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's comics again. I cannot believe I just rolled that the wrong way, because I'm apparently an idiot. But there we go. It's my TBR game. I should know which direction we're going in. But anyway, I'm going to go in the middle this time, and that is Avengers Assemble. Read an entire event. And then my final roll was Avengers Assemble. Read an entire event. So I'm going to be trying to finish, or at least read a significant amount of Reign of X. Specifically, if I can get past the entirety of probably the Hellfire Gala. If I can get to Trials of Magneto, I'll be ecstatic, but as long as I get past Hellfire Gala, I'll be quite happy. So but essentially this is the latest X-Men run. I am still catching up on this. I promised myself I'd get through Dawn of X this year. I did that back in like March, and then didn't continue for the rest of the year. So I think it's about time I caught up a little bit further, and I can get through the Hellfire Gala, things like this, and just sort of catch up a bit more on my X-Men, because I want to leave this year on a really good high of like comics and things like this. So I think this is going to be the way to go, because I am loving Reign of X, so, and just generally the current X-Men run in general, so definitely want to get through this. And that would be the end of the TBR, but you know, I had all those options to read for the Let the Arrow Decide. I still want to put them on my TBR, and at least 2 of them are priorities, so let's talk about them. The first one is The Amazing Maurice and His Educated Rodents. This is actually because A, I want to read more Discworld, and B, because the movie adaptation is coming out this month and I will definitely be watching it. And this one is sort of like a Pied Piper retelling kind of thing, where it's actually about a cat, essentially, and a whole bunch of rodents, and they're basically con men kind of thing, and then they come across an actual Pied Piper and where it goes from there. This one's quite short. I can read Terry Pratchett quite quickly, so it should be fine. I think, how many pages is it? 270-ish, which isn't too bad, so I should be able to get through it quite quickly, but we'll see. Either way, this will be read. If I have to drop something else, I will, because I definitely need to read this one. And then the final thing I have is the largest book I'm probably going to read this year, and that is Queen of Air and Darkness, at nearly 1,000 pages. I've decided that I'm going to try and read this. If I wanted to read this in a week, I'd have to read 200 pages a day, which is not possible usually, but I can read these quite quickly. But this is going to take me more than a week, and I've got like I said, 15 days at most to try and read all of this on my TBR. So I'm essentially screwed. But I'm going to give it a try anyway, because I like reading 3 Shadowhunters books a year. This is the final one I need to read to finish off this series, and I will eventually learn to not put the final book off in a Shadowhunters series until the last minute of, like, the last minute of the year. Because I read the last one, like, I read whichever one I read and finished off whichever one it was last year, like 4 hours before the end of the year. So I kind of need to do this one a bit quicker, but it's going to take me like over a week to read this, and like I said, I have 14 days to read all of this in, so a little bit scared. But if I read nothing else for the rest of the month apart from this and a few comics and obviously The Amazing Maurice, blame this book. Blame this book and how long it is. I can't believe I've done this to myself, but it's Tome Topple and I apparently like stressing myself out for the final month of the year. But there we go. That is my TBR. It is massive. I'm scared of it, but we'll see what happens. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below, tell me what you're reading in the month of December. I'd love to know. Or if you don't have that much time, leave me a scared emoji down below to let me know that you were here. I'll also leave a link as well down below to all of my social media if you want to check it out, including to the Comic Book Sanctum, which is my website dedicated to Marvel Comics, which is going to have a ton of stuff still on, like Christmassy Marvel stuff and all of that good stuff. Link down below if you want to check that out, as well as to my Etsy and Redbubble store, which sells bookish merch if you're interested in that, especially for gifts for your loved ones, or if you just want to see any more of my videos and see how well I do with actually reading these, please click subscribe here and over here with the link to my previous video. But until next time everyone, bye! In case you were wondering, yes, I regret everything. Because I've now got to clear this up. Yay!